Hi guys, so today we're going to be doing the next part of our iReady math lesson 1. So if you look, we're going to be working in this book with the green outline. So if you want to get this book out so you can work along with me, remember that while you are doing this, you can pause the video at any time to put your answers so that you have them as we go along. So here I'm going to send it to you as a PDF. And then if you want to edit the PDF, all you have to do is go here, click Lumin, and then it's going to automatically, when it says open with, go to Lumin, open up here. And I've already put in where I want to put my text so that I know where I'm going to type my answers. So now it's just a matter of doing that and then submitting my page when I'm done. Or if you prefer, you can use your book and write all your answers in here, take a picture of it, and submit those as your answers. I have one student who's been doing that. Ivan's been taking pictures of his work because he wants to write in his book, which I think is awesome. As long as he, shares that with me, I have no problem. So we're going to be starting in this book on page 3, right here. We're going to be doing page 3 and 4 together. And then I want you to work independently on pages 5, 6, and then 7 and 8 it's just one problem, but with lots of explanations. So it shouldn't be too bad. So the thing about place value is it's really important that you understand what a digit is. Remember, a digit just tells you the amount of something, and then value is what value that digit has. So if it's a 3, we know what 3 is. But if we say it's 3 tens, well, that's a different 3. That's telling us the amount of tens that we have, which would make it 30, okay? It's like, I like to think about this as like money. So the digit tells me how many $20 bills I have, and then the dollar bills tell me the value that I have. So if I have 3 $20 bills, well, that's $20, $40, $60, okay? I guess that doesn't quite work for place value because we're talking about tens. So if I have 3 $10 bills, that's $30. If I have 5 $10 bills, it's $50. So the digit tells you the amount you have, and the place that it is tells you the value that it has, or the dollar bill. So look at this first one. How can you model the decimal 2500ths 2 different ways? So they're showing us 2 different models. The one right here is the grid. Remember, this is out of 100. And if you look here on this decimal, it's written as 2500ths. So that's telling you that it's 25 out of 100 pieces to make a whole. That's basically what a decimal means. It's the same kind of, a decimal is very similar to a fraction. It tells you how much they have and how much you need to make a whole. So to make a whole for 2500ths, you would need 100 of those. So you only have 25 of those 100 pieces. So when we put it on a grid like this is out of 100, and we have 10, 20, 25. You can also write it like this using a place value chart. We have 0 ones, which means we have 2 tens, and we have 5 hundreds. So it says complete the sentence to show the value of the digits in the decimal 2500ths from the example problem above. The 2 has a value of, so we go back here and we can look at this chart. It has a value of what? It has tenths. All right, let me try this again. Click, put this here. It has the tenths. 2 tenths. And then here, oops, I guess it doesn't like me having that ahead of time. The 5 has a value of 5. Don't want to buy the premium. Okay. I will put it right here. Hundreds. It says write the decimal in words. What's awesome about decimals is we write it exactly how it sounds. So if it's 2500ths, how we would write that in words is exactly what we just said. 20, and a hyphen. Whenever we have 25 or 35 or 45, it's always hyphen. And then the place value that the 5's in. It's important with decimals that we, at the end of the number that we read, like we would just read this right here as 25, but because it's not a whole number, because if we just said the number 25, we would think, oh, that's 25 wholes. We have to list where does it fall in the decimal. It landed in the hundreds, okay? Write a number in the box to complete each model. So this one, we're going to go 10, 20, because each column has 10 in it. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So now I'm going to put my answer here. It's a decimal, so it's going to be 80 hundredths or just 8 tenths, okay? What's interesting to note, the reason why both of those numbers work is because the 0 in 80 hundredths just means that there is 0 100ths. And we don't need to say that number because you don't walk around saying, I have 0 $5 or I have 0 $100, because we don't talk about the places in front of the number because they don't have any value. And in the decimal, any zeros at the end don't hold any value. So now this one, we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this one is going to be 8 what? 8 out of how many? Right, 8 hundredths. It's 8 tenths here. This is 8 hundredths here. We're talking about in tenths, and this is talking about hundredths. Over here, we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88. So this one we're going to put 0, 88 hundredths. That's all you have to do for that. Now this next one, it says, how is shading a grid to show 1/10 different from shading a grid to show 1/100th? And this goes back to, if you recall what I was showing you the other day with my little place value. It takes 10 tens to make a tenth, right? Or 10 100ths to make a 10. And then it takes 10 tens to make 100. So when we're answering this one, it says, how is shading a grid to show 1/10 different than showing a grid to show 1/100th? The difference is that you would have to divide 100 into 10 pieces, which is just basically a row. So you would shade in one row versus one square. One square would be 100th and one row would be a 10th. That's all you have to write. Model A shows the decimal 1.4. Shade Model B to show 1 4/100ths. So this is kind of a cool thing too. We can use this. So we're going to shade in all of this because this is going to represent one whole, okay? And then over here, it says they want us to shade this 4 hundredths, which is not 4 rows. It's 4 squares, which looks easier than it there. So that's how that model would look. That's the difference, is this is 4 tenths over here. And this is 4 100ths, okay? Trent and Lex shaded a grid to show the decimal 53 hundredths. Their grids are shown below. Do both grids show the decimal 53 hundredths? Which grid is faster to check? So let's check Trent's first. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 51, 52, 53. Lex is different. We're going to count all the 10s and then go back and count the ones. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 51, 52, 53. Lex's, I would actually mark as incorrect. When you shade in a grid, you want to shade all the numbers in together because it makes it easier to read. It's easier for you to read. So which grid is faster? Well, the first question is, do both grids show 53 hundredths? Yes. Which grid is faster to check? Trent's. And that's all you have to do for that. So now what your job is going to be is to go back to this idea of, remember that every number is 10 numbers away. like here, looking at this example, this is 1 whole, which is 10 times 1/10, which is 10 times 1/100th. But if we're looking at comparing 1 to 100th, that would be 100 times, because that's 10 times 10, which equals 100. So here you're going to use the times 10 pattern to fall from the example to complete each equation. So 1 times 10 equals, you would write 10 there. 1 is equal to blank times 10. Interesting, yeah. So you'll have to figure out that one. Trying to make sure that you will be able to understand that one properly. So if you look here, the answer equals 1. This equals 1. So what do they multiply by 10 to get 1? That's my clue to you, okay? And then if you go here and you look, you'll be able to figure that out. And the division is just the opposite direction. Remember, the number's becoming smaller, so we're dividing versus multiplying. Use the divided pattern to fill in the blanks. So we start with 400. What would be the next in the pattern of 10? So if I took 400 and divided it by 10, I would get what? Divide that by 10, what would I get? And keep going, okay? How are these decimals related? That means how are they the same? And how are they different? This is where they're asking you is 9 thousandths is blank the value of 9 hundredths. So this is where you would answer that in that manner. Here, choose yes or no. All you have to do is, again, you're going to take one of these, and whatever you decide the answer is, just put a dot. Makes it really quick. I don't know if that's actually the answer, just so you know. With these type of problems right here, what's important to note is that you should solve all of these. Don't just guess. So you would look at this. Well, if I multiplied 7 thousandths times 10, which would make it greater by what? 1 place value, would I get 7 hundredths? This right here. This is your answer. So then you're going to look at 7 tenths divided by 10, which makes the number would be smaller. Would it become 7 hundredths? So that's what you have to figure out for those. Describe the shaded section of the model 2 different ways. So just like when we were doing this here, where the value of 2 tenths or 2 tenths, 5 hundredths or 5 hundredths. Those are the 2 different ways that you can represent that. That's all they're asking you to do. Choose the relationship. So this is where you're going to pick, is it greater than, less than, or equal to that number. Shade the grids to show 2 ones, 2 wholes, and the same as the 2 ones is the same as 20 tenths. So I want you to think about how would you do that to show that they're the same. Okay. This is where it gives you one big problem. It tells you some stuff to think about, and then you solve. Well, actually, it gives you a different problem, tells you how they solved it. Then they give you a problem that's similar to it, and you solve it. So you're responsible for doing the rest, starting on page 5 and going all the way to page 7, I believe, or 8. Yeah, 7 doesn't really count because it's just an example. Please, if you're having any trouble at any time, please give me a call or send me an email, and I will help you, okay? Can't wait to see what you guys do in your work.